Welcome to the OMNI Pod, brought to you by OMNI Magazine, the magazine of science and science fiction. I'm your host, Sam Phillips. Welcome to the show. I've got great guests today sitting here with me in our OMNI studio. Thank you, Gary Garver, so much. First, I'd like to introduce you to Kelly Caldwell.
Hello.
Host, writer, researcher, and content creator with a focus on edutainment.
Got that right?
AKA making learning fun again.
Absolutely.
She's been involved with multiple YouTube properties with a combined count of over 9 million subscribers. She studied at the prestigious Oxford University and is currently working on a new project to bring together the world's most enthusiastic,
autodidactic polymaths.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
To what?
Oh, to democratize education. And what else did I put in there that sounded fancy? Empower society. Right? Sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God someone's smarter than me on the show.
Oh, stop.
Amen for you. And you also wrote and sold a pilot about fast radio bursts, one of the biggest mysteries in the sky.
Yeah, it was great. It was actually a show about aliens, and the first episode was fast radio bursts.
Wow.
So, yeah.
See, I have no idea what that is.
We could talk about it.
I would love it. Okay, so sitting on the other side of me is Canadian actor Berkeley Pickell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. He's a voiceover artist, actor, writer, and total nerd geek. According to your girlfriend, You're into gaming, circus arts, reading about time travel, science fiction, and is currently writing a fantasy
animated series.
There you go.
And I don't think any of that is nerdy at all, but she insists that it is.
Okay, when you say you're a gamer, what kind of games do you game?
It's how I stay in touch with my friends in Canada. We mostly play like online multiplayer games.
Okay.
I'm really into Overwatch right now.
Oh,
no.
I was kind of late to the.
Oh,
late
no.
To the party.
No, just kidding. That sounds great.
Are you an anti-gamer?
Well, I guess part of the whole YouTube thing I'm supposed to pretend to be, but I haven't really got into it much. Although I did go to an esports tournament. You know what? This is getting off track. Let's carry on.
No, gaming is all, it goes into the world of tech,
really
technology,
does. Yeah.
The future, innovation, games. James, welcome to the show. This is my really good friend, you guys. I've known James 100 years. Doesn't he look good? Don't we look good? So this is James Martinez, James Martinez Media. So James is a media ecologist who served on the board of advisors for the Marshall McLuhan Center on Global Communications, the Freedom of Thought Foundation, and the United Precious Metals Association. He's also been an advisor for international companies and governments on the media ecological effects of disruptive technology and culture. These areas include finance, nanotechnology, and low-energy nuclear reactions. He's also a veteran of radio and TV and appeared in the award-winning film The Believers and the soon-to-be-released The End of the Line. Welcome, you guys, to the show.
Hey! Is it bad if we clap for ourselves?
No, I think it's wonderful. And Gary Garver, thank you for being a board op and an engineer and an editor and my dear friend and radio partner at times.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Amen to you. Okay, so James.
Where to start?
I was going to say,
what the hell do we say to this
yes.
guy?
Okay, so, you're going to have to be on the mic, and you're going to have to be up on the mic, and we're all going to have to
Right
be very
here.
close on the mic. It's a very intimate show.
Right.
ASMR. Talking.
Okay, so, James, why don't you give a little background on yourself and your tie to Bob Guccione?
Okay. My background, unusual. I've been involved with all the kind of abstract news, the hidden stuff, for a long time. My business colleague was a guy named Walter Bowart, who wrote the book Operation Mind Control, which was the first major whistleblowing government technology that was released to the public that they've made about 10 movies about. The whole Bourne Supremacy franchise is based on that. So I got involved with him out of college, and he became a business partner of mine. And here's the big story of how I got involved with Guccione. I was going to Tucson, Arizona, and I was doing an interview there on a UFO case, right? And then I was kind of consulting with people that were retired Navy, and that particular person said, we would like you to go talk to this lady because she wants to show you some photographs. Because I'd already been talking about this subject before. So I went to her house. This was the same day I met Walter Bowart, right? So I got the photographs that appeared in Penthouse magazine about 4 months before it was actually published. So at that day, I met with Walter Bowart, and I said, we'd never known each other before, and then I found out his background and what he'd been involved with in the 60s to present, and he was the first major whistleblower in U.S. culture that really exposed the behind-the-scenes technology that's used for behavior modification, for assassination, for enhanced learning. Child trafficking was involved. All the stuff that's come out recently in the news, that we said that a long time ago. We said it, but nobody wanted to hear it. So back to the Guccione angle. So I had the photographs. I showed the photographs to Walter Bowart, and he said, were you going to publish these with Guccione? And I said, well, yeah, because I called up, and I was dealing with Bob's assistant. I don't remember her name, though.
Jane Homlish.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Great lady.
Yep.
She had guts.
Yeah, yes.
Guts.
All the ladies that surrounded Bob Guccione had guts.
Yeah, she did. So I told her I had been given these photographs, and I said, no matter what happens, people are going to say that they're fake. And the story of what the photographs really are is part of the reason why I wanted to go on the record and say what they are and why I gave them to Guccione and how it happened. The photographs are models of what the aliens look like, used for training purposes for the military for crash retrieval. So it's to desensitize you from dealing with the impact of something like that. The same way doctors train by desensitizing themselves around trauma. So they have to be able to react and handle themselves. That's what the photographs were. That's what they were about. So the people that I talked to in the Navy who were retired, and I talked to Walter Bowart about. So then I'm talking to Jane this entire time, and I said, I got these photographs that I think you may be interested in publishing, or looking at least, because I knew about OMNI Magazine, and a lot of serious people were looking at that. That's a serious publication.
And here's something that some people don't know. Bob Guccione and his wife, Kathy Keaton, published OMNI Magazine, Longevity Magazine,
that's right.
A slew of different mainstream publications, not just Penthouse Letters, Girls of Penthouse.
Yeah,
there was a very scientific side of Bob.
Big time. Mm-hmm. Big time. I didn't talk to the pornography guy at all. When I walked in and met him, I was talking to the artist. I was talking to the person that was interested in advanced technologies, longevity, behavior enhancement, and generally what he really wanted to do when I was dealing with him one-on-one was he wanted to really leave a mark and change and upgrade humanity. That's what he wanted to do. So when I met him with these photographs, I said, this is what they are, this is the story, and this is where I got them from, and I gave him the telephone number, I gave him all the contact details, and I wasn't sure if he was going to do it because he was very quiet at first, and I talked a little bit about him and tried to tell him to get out of the nuclear industry because he put a lot of money in there, and it is a New York place, the big residence there.
Yep.
And he was extremely interested in the whole UFO field, but I didn't foresee him going out and going rah, rah, rah with the photographs. So I met Kathy Keaton at the same time.
His former wife. They've both passed, by the way.
Elegant, classy, wise, risk taker, willing to go where nobody else had gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
she was way ahead of her time.
Yes, because this is when we were dealing with these photographs. I went to go meet with them in La Jolla as we were deciding what to do with it, and they were into all over the place. They just kept asking me questions over and over and over again about all sorts of stuff. So then the photographs came out, and the story in the magazine, that was the first time ever, because those photographs in that magazine, that went everywhere for about 4 days. This is pre-internet.
And it was also the special 27th anniversary issue.
Yeah.
It was already a big issue, and then the cover word said, "The Alien."
Right. I had nothing to do with the content about it or the cover story, anything, nothing. In fact, I was probably the last to know that it was going to be published. And at that time, during that era, this was the time when Bud Hopkins, the Betty and Barney Hill case, people weren't really talking about that type of stuff in the press anywhere. So he was a pioneer in terms of pushing the issue a little bit forward, way back before anybody.
He's always been that way, but what's interesting is that he chose to publish this article in Penthouse and not in OMNI.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It's very tactical.
Yes.
Right?
Well, Bob was very disruptive like that, and he would use sex to sell, whether it was a concept, a thought, a theory, a magazine.
So yeah, you could kind of say the idea of having this alien photograph is sexy in a way, right? Like
True.
It's got its own sex appeal to it. There's something sexy about the allure of what that means.
Yeah, he pushed culture with that.
True enough. And also, I don't know what the readership was like at the time between OMNI versus Penthouse. And you had more. Maybe Penthouse at the time had more subscribers, and the story and word and photos would have gotten out on a bigger scale, a grander scale, being in Penthouse as opposed to OMNI. I'm not sure. I wish he was here to tell us.
I know.
So did
Bob, where are you?
Did these photos get seen quite a lot, or is it something we've probably
Oh, it
seen?
made a lot of noise for about 4 days, all over the place. And I did one small, tiny radio station to go on the record to say that I was the one that arranged it. But I didn't realize it would be so impactful, because that photograph started, believe it or not, the meme of what we see in the emoticons of the eyes and everything. But it also, you saw that figure inside porn all the time.
Interesting.
They infused that caricature inside porn.
Wow.
All of, because
Is it
porn
like subliminally, you mean? Or just the actual...
as a like a caricature.
Oh,
Is this like the alien emoji, like the
Yes.
big almond
Yes.
eyes and the...
Yeah, that's
Where we
this
got
was
that
the
initial-
trigger event that got that down the road. There was other people involved post that, and everybody was screaming and yelling, saying it's a fake, no, it's real, it's fake. And I was saying initially, it doesn't matter if it's real or not, because they're going to come out and they're going to discredit it either way. But what the more important thing is that if it's not a physical thing, it is a psychic, cultural phenomenon, regardless of where you stand on that. So I went through this whole thing about if it was going to be a success, what was going to happen. I said, once we part ways here, you can find me here through the phone number, and then that was it. I never heard anything after about 4 days ever again from Penthouse or OMNI ever. So
And look at you now.
Right.
Cat's out of the bag.
Right. So that's really what happened on how that whole thing started.
That's fascinating.
That's fascinating. So then was your name and identity just kind of tied with this photograph for a while?
Nobody knew anything about it. I did speak about it in other radio interviews, but I didn't go into the details about it, because at that point I was getting invited at speaking engagements, and most of them I turned down because I stay away from that world. I know a lot of people in there, but I don't go in there and I don't do the standard thing, because I don't think it's a place to sell things. I don't want to sell books. I don't want to sell TV. I don't want to sell anything, and it's turned into a business now.
Sure.
So, and which isn't good, because all the huge people that are involved in that, and Bob was interested in Betty and Barney Hill, that case, which is one of the most famous cases. He was interested in all the work with Bud Hopkins and all the abductions. I couldn't believe the guy when I was sitting in front of him.
What's the Hill case?
The Betty and Barney Hill case
Yeah.
was one of the most famous abduction cases, which started the whole flap of that time. You don't even hear about that stuff anymore. That doesn't exist.
So it was a couple that was abducted together?
Yes, it was an interracial couple living in Massachusetts. It's a very
So, of
famous
course, they
case.
discredited it.
No, now, because MIT has some of the physical evidence at MIT right now that they've gone public about, saying that they don't know where the material derives from.
Okay, so James, call me crazy, because everyone does. It's okay. So is it a fair assessment that aliens created technology? Or technology as we know it is derivative of alien spaceships or alien particles or pieces, or their crash sites and their technology we've replicated or duplicated, or they live amongst us and they're helping us? What the hell is going on with the aliens?
Well, that's a good question because you said technology and aliens,
Yeah.
and probably the person that was the big whistleblower on that was a guy named General Corso, who came out and said that the military-industrial complex, when they started doing all the crash retrievals, they started back engineering the technology, and the internet came from that. So did fiber optics, so did the cell phone, sort of a lot of things. And so what happens is we have what people
I
don't
feel so
understand.
smart right now.
Sam feels justified
I
in this
do.
moment.
I do.
No, it's a good
Validation is here.
No, but do you know how many people think that I'm stupid for thinking that technology
No, that's
came
exactly
from
right.
aliens? And I say it dead serious.
No, that's
thank you
exactly
for
right.
validating me, James. Thank you.
No, and there's
Oh
a
my
lot of other
gosh.
people would as well that have way more higher rank than I do. But that's
Wow.
exactly what happened because you have two sections of society that people don't want to recognize, and you have all the noise over in one section, and you have behind the national security curtain. That's the real world. That's where these people at SRI International, at Lockheed Skunk Works, at Boeing, inside the Pentagon, and everywhere that's underneath the all the underground cities in the United States. This is the people that run everything. Okay, so which leads me to a couple of reasons why I got involved with Bowart is because when I found out the expose of what they were doing to civilians, it was all tied into UFOs. It was all tied into advanced technology. It was all tied into engineering human behavior on a cellular level. Nanotechnology was involved. Nano dust particles were involved. I knew the whole layout of what they were going to do to engineer countries and cultures and what the plan was for population reduction, the whole thing.
What was the plan?
And this is all public, what I'm telling you. I
Yeah.
just knew the people that were influential and worked with them, but I didn't come out and say, oh, it's Agenda 21 and Agenda 30, and we're depopulating right now, so everybody's going to get sick, it's going to be more war, it's going to be more violence, so we can bring in this new culture, which they're doing.
Wasn't HIV manufactured?
Yeah, it's a bioweapon. Yeah, most of them.
And it didn't come from Africa and monkeys.
No, it came from a lab at Fort Detrick, Maryland.
Guys, we got in deep real quick. We just dived straight to the pool.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, people
trying
can
to keep
look
afloat
themselves.
right now. Trying to follow you guys around.
Real turn.
We're throwing out some stuff. We're getting in.
No, I'm just going all over the place because
No, I love
this
it.
is
I'm
OMNI.
sorry. I know.
So you guys can handle it here.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're here for it. Everything that you want to give to us, we're taking. If nothing else, but an open mind to
So
what you're willing
I'll
to put
give
out there.
OMNI this since they helped me out. This situation that we're in right now today, there's a couple things going on technologically that is going to affect everybody that I'm involved with hands-on. This is the launch of cryptocurrencies beyond Bitcoin that include quantum engines for computers, things that are offsetting the internet. You're going to see a complete redo of all the financial systems happening now. I'm hands-on involved with that. And then the big kahunas, the big news really that people should get ready for is in the next, I would say 2 to 3 years, you're going to see the kind of money will be dissolved because free energy will be released to the public because it's already being engineered and worked on in multiple countries. I'm involved with all of that, which is how I met Andy because of my relationship with Walter Bowart. And
we're talking about Andrew
Basiago. Andrew Basiago.
I like to say Basiago, so it's good
Yeah.
that you're saying Basiago. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was Basiago as well.
I know.
So no,
He
don't
won't-
do
Basiago.
that. Big
Okay.
X. Got it. Good to know.
Which is great because Andy's going to be on our next show.
Right.
Thanks to you, James. Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
Oh, you're welcome.
And then how did you meet Andy? You were, I think, about to say.
So I met Andy. Well, when I was working with Bowart before he passed away. I was working on Volume 2 of Operation Mind Control, where we did upgrades and further research into a bunch of things, and it got really far out there because we had all sorts of sources inside the Pentagon, the Navy, and so forth that were just giving us information about what was going on, and those things having to do with technological advancement, time travel, all of Tesla's archives, everything that he did was behind the national security curtain. It was going to come forward, and there's going to be whistleblowers. And he told me one day, James, you're going to be doing something with a time traveler. And I'm like, okay, all right, can we leave now and get out of here and go eat? I didn't believe anything he said at all until one day I heard of him. I heard him on the radio. And
Andy.
Yeah, I didn't know that Walter and him were talking. He wouldn't tell me Andy's name way back.
Right.
So I asked him, how did you two, why were you two talking during my tenure working with him? And he said that he didn't want to tell me that part because he thought it was like really dangerous. So I'm like, okay, fine. So eventually, when I did talk to Andy, I wanted to make sure that he wasn't lying and making up the fact that them two were talking. So then he started to recall everything that their relationship was and what they're talking about. And I said, you really were speaking with them. So it was kind of like I was foretold that I was going to be dealing with Andy. So then I met him and heard everything.
Now, for people that don't know who Andrew Basiago
There you go.
is, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I better get it right now before he comes on. Tell us a little bit about his story, Project Pegasus, and the Mars jump rooms. Like, this is a man who has teleported and he has time traveled into the past, into the future, and to Mars.
He's lived a life, is what you're saying.
He's lived 10 lives.
He's lived 10 lives.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And there are disbelievers, naysayers, people who think that it couldn't possibly be true. And then there are a bunch of people who have helped give factual evidence to prove his claims.
No, I met some of the people that he worked with. I lived with one of them, actually, for a little while. And I think... See, I get phone calls from him with what's going on, so I already hear the latest stuff. So when I initially met him, I was looking at him, okay, this is a guy that's been behavioral engineered. He's coming out to recall a story, and this is part of his programming. Because I know you can do stuff
And
like that.
he's done tons of talks and major, interviews and told his story and shown his evidence.
Yeah, and he's about as down to earth as they come. Very ordinary. There's nothing wow fluky about the guy at all.
He's an attorney.
Yeah, he's got 5 degrees. He's well traveled, and he's very easy to talk to.
Well
and there's one
traveled,
thing,
that's for sure.
The guy, if you ask him a question, you'll get a detailed answer. He will not give you some short answer. He'll tell you in detail everything.
I had read somewhere that he actually has the mathematical proofs to back up his claims. Do you know if that's accurate? Because that's some pretty damn cool shit if that's true.
Ask him. I don't know.
Okay. Oh yeah, we have to. Yeah.
I was more interested in the effect he was going to have on culture because I knew he was going to run for office. I had kind of given him tactical information regarding technology to put in his campaign, all of which came true. And I'm waiting to see what happens.
In 2020?
Yeah. Because between now and then, America's going to be totally different by then.
Well, I mean, it's already going to hell in a handbasket. I'm sorry, Donald Trump. Please, I
know you hate him.
Where is Andrew?
I didn't vote for the guy. I didn't vote for the guy. I know what he's doing.
He doesn't believe in climate change. He doesn't believe in anything.
People don't understand that. Climate change is the verbiage that was given to the public to prepare it and put it into a corner for world government. That's what it's for.
Climate change or global warming? Because
global warming was used as a tool to put everybody into a box to submit to world government. That was the tool to get everybody to care about, to cooperate.
So are you saying that there isn't any actual changes?
I'm saying it's way worse than we're being told. Way worse.
Really?
Of course.
Well,
because Fukushima, all you got to do is think about that, and it's a complete media blackout with things and certain topics in the United States. There is no more cognitive liberty in the United States It's ended. Our nervous systems are being augmented through all our media extensions to the computers. They're preparing to completely change how we interact with each other.
What do you see? Like, what is that future?
Life extension via nanotechnology. The new computers are going to be hooked up to the nervous system entirely. All this they're post-suggesting through all the Hollywood environments. There's going to be free energy. The currency is going to change into multiple cryptocurrencies and exchanges all over the world. I know because I'm dealing with 3 countries on it right now. And there's going to be smart cities set up that I'm aware of in certain countries that will be the new cultural phase of building the next level of humanity. There will be cryptocurrency, free energy, solar. Food will be different, and they're going to be augmenting human RNA, DNA, which they're already doing for extending life to prepare to go off-world. That's what.
Dear God, let there be free Wi-Fi.
Yeah. No.
Dear God, give me some free Wi-Fi up in here.
Yeah.
How do you see like the end of net neutrality affecting? Like you talk a lot about government control and like.
I think that
the internet
I don't think people know what the internet really is, or what its purpose is. It's designed to alter your central nervous system on how you relate to information. Remember, when man shapes tools, his tools shape him. So
Sure.
the cell phone is probably the easiest media ecological effect for people to see what's going on and what it's really designed for, which just came out in the last 2 or 3 days about what it was designed to do.
What?
Augment human behavior, amplify the central nervous system, alter social space, create instantaneousness in effect for information, and to disinform too. So we have all sorts of effects from the electrical environment coming in and altering currency, that's where I got mostly involved with Walter Bowart, was the changes in currency, because I went and sued all the credit card companies for $850 million and started. Remember that?
Yes.
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 That was the purpose. So because of all that I did, what happened is Marshall McLuhan's daughter. Marshall McLuhan was probably one of the great minds of the 21st century, whatever, and he did a book called The Medium is the Message. So, and in the contents of his explanations of how technology influences behavior, I went to his daughter and I said, well, your dad was right about the credit card. So I took down all the credit card companies and started the debt industry, about people getting out of debt. I was there at the beginning of it. And then I proved what the government and the banks knew before everybody about what was going to happen to money. That it would be dissolved, and because of electricity, international banks were going to take over the world, and they were going to try and create this world government by the derivative effect from electricity. Because you can create debt in the way fiat currency is set up.
Right.
The instantaneousness of money via the fiat currency money system would enrich those would own the technology. These include all the biggest banks on earth, including the Royals and the Chinese, and they would come in and try and this is what the news is really about. It's about the creation of world government. That's what's really going on.
James, I feel like each time you say a sentence, I want to unpack it for like an hour.
No, go ahead. Just interrupt.
Like, hold on.
I want you to, because it's a lot.
We've got so many different premises, but I don't know. Did we want to talk a bit about nanotechnology or move on to?
We're going to take a break in a second.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, we'll take one now.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break here on the OMNI Pod, brought to you by OMNI Magazine, the magazine of science and science fiction. I'm your host, Sam Phillips. I'm sitting here with Kelly Caldwell,
Hey.
James Martinez, and Berkeley Pickell, and Gary Garver. We'll be right back.
We will.
Welcome to the OMNI Pod, brought to you by OMNI Magazine, the magazine of science and science fiction. Follow us on Facebook.com/Real Omni, Twitter.com/OMNI Magazine, and check out our website, OMNIMagazine.com. I'm your host, Sam Phillips, and I'm sitting here with my friends Kelly Caldwell, host, Berkeley Pickell, actor, and James Martinez, the most fascinating man in America.
Woo!
Oh, I'm telling you. He's a media ecologist. He's into mind control. He's into nanotechnology. He knows it all. Thank you for being my guest, dude. I'm telling you.
Tell me.
When I watch this video,
Yeah.
it's just my eyes are like wide open and my jaw is on the console. The stuff that you're serving up for us tonight, really good, James.
Well, no, I wanted to, because of what Bob did. I didn't
Guccione.
forget that because it was a critical moment, and the guy had balls and guts, and I like that. So, and so did Kathy. So I wanted to, when I found out it was Omni, I definitely wanted to give you whatever you needed.
And I know, and James, by the way, guys, doesn't do interviews. He doesn't come forward publicly about what he knows and his involvement in various different things.
So we have an exclusive, is what you're saying.
pretty much.
On this subject, but I will stand for the record. Yes, I have been at press conferences. Yes, I've been interviewed on Coast to Coast and blah, 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 about my relationship with him and what I did to the banks and what all the activity I'm involved with new currencies in the U.S. and abroad. But I okay, to the nanotech part.
Yes.
Okay. So,
To the nanotech.
So
What is nanotechnology?
nanotechnology is the fusion of biology, physics, and health. And nanomedicine is the future of medicine. It will include robots in the body. Ray Kurzweil talks about this a lot over at Google. And he's very, very public about it. So is DARPA. DARPA has been public about it, what nanotechnology is going to do. So I'm well known all over the world for being the figurehead for free energy in association with cold fusion, otherwise known as LENR, low energy nuclear reactions. And because of that, I get a lot of calls for technology stuff to deploy it into the public. One of them was something called Carbon 60, which is the nano-engineered particle from carbon that looks like a buckyball, it's called. Ironically, it comes after, it's named after the designer. And what it is when I went to Colorado, I met with the engineers that manufacture nanocarbons. And then I went online and did my own research about nanocarbons. And I happened to get involved with probably one of the best engineers in the world that was manufacturing nanocarbons for human consumption. Now
Now, what does a nanocarbon do? Like, does thing glom onto it?
It's a tiny thing that looks like a soccer ball
Okay.
when you look under it on a microscope, but it has specific properties to it, especially when it's ingested into the body. So your body already has receptor sites for a number of things. THC is one. Carbon is another one because you're made out of carbon. So it's non-toxic. So charcoal, if you look online and see what charcoal is used for, people use it for water, cleansing water, cleaning teeth,
Sure.
shrinking excess water in the body, digestive issues. But the nanocarbons, when they're engineered in a certain way, the C60, specifically that molecule, has incredible properties when it's put inside the body. For starters, it changes the relationship of telomeres in the cells, which determines
Now we're talking.
Yeah, now that has to do with
Is this
the
in your
aging.
wheelhouse?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Love me some telomere action.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I met with the engineers, and they asked me, "Would you deploy this?" And I said, yes, because I knew that this was going to be the future. One of the applications used for life extension, because and the reason why the engineers came forward is because of what has happened to our air, food, water, and the people that are doing that, knowing that they're doing it, and the people that are doing that are interfering with your free will, your health and everything. So I was sitting with the scientists and engineers, and they're pretty pissed off. And they said, we're going to put this out, we're going to create it, and we're going to give this at a cheaper price to the public so they have a chance to clean up their neurology and their biology. Because what happens when you ingest this is the free radicals, which is the aspect on your cells which cause and create diseases. When the buckyball hits it, there's a reaction to it, and it bounces off, and it works as a scavenger system so that the decay on the cells is released out of the body. So it's not a food, it's not a drug, it's not, even though it's classified by the food, classified by the FDA as a food, and we have to say it's a food. We can't use certain words of the effects that it has, because there's this is the problem with what's happened in society now. We don't have cognitive liberty, we don't have freedom of speech, and certain words, including the word cure, is owned by the FDA. So you can't say that. You cannot say anything cures anything. And that's a whole other subject. But what I can tell you from personal testimonies from people that I've given it to, it has created positive, beneficial effects, all of which are going to be released, because I hear about them daily. Because I started taking it many years ago, but then I
See, I knew you looked good for a reason.
There it is.
Okay,
It's the buckyballs.
That's what I'm telling you.
Well, and we're also dropping a lot of good science around here that maybe we want to hint back towards. So when we talk about telomeres, are you guys familiar with why that's so cool and why we care about them?
No.
Okay, so I can kind of do like a layman's version, then you can correct me because I'm going to get it wrong.
Please do.
Okay,
Please.
At the end of our chromosomes, we have these little caps, and those are called telomeres. And it's basically just repetitive DNA. And every time a cell or your DNA, replicates itself, it loses a little bit of that cap. And basically, if we keep those telomeres intact, we think that we won't age as fast or at all, maybe.
Right.
Is that about?
That's precisely exactly right.
Wow.
So when I had to have a discussion about coming on here and talking about this. So, well, can I say this? What the hell can I say? What can I not say? The effects are major. In fact, I get special phone calls about it from people all over the world now. I was kind of the first guy to put it out there, and if you wish, I will give you and introduce you to the engineer who makes it.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
go into
please.
full detail
Yeah.
about everything, because I think I wanted to do it, and I wanted to put it out there because of what's happening to us, what I'm seeing in society. And I had a friend of mine that was like 34, die of cancer. And I'm like, what
They
is
are
going
dying.
on here?
Younger and
Meaning
younger.
people are dying in their 40s, their 30s, their 50s.
Unacceptable.
What is being done to us. And I could go into a long rant and tear, which I won't, but I know why and who and what the purposes and the end goals are and so forth. So I wanted to get involved with nanotechnology because I'm involved with health and also cold fusion, all the ways LENR it's referred to. And I have been for a long time, because I knew the only way humanity will be freed from what's being done to us is decentralization through technology via energy. But it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean shit if we don't have our health. Nothing.
Right.
So health is the real wealth. It is not dollars. It's not gold. It's not diamonds. That's the root. That's the root of where it is. So
What are some of the benefits of it?
It passes the blood-brain barrier immediately. Some people feel effects within the first 10 seconds when they put it in. It depends the decay on your body. It depends on a lot of different things. But what we hear,
Give it to me.
what we hear from people that are in the fitness industry
Yeah.
is the absence of buildup of lactic acid, which is soreness.
Really?
So people are stronger, faster recovery time, things of that nature. We have a lot of athletes are taking it now.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
But most buyers and people find out about it are the people that have problems.
Of course, you're looking for solutions.
Yeah. And then, I told people, put it in your mouth and swallow it, right? Fine. And then I find out people are putting it in their eyes.
What?
And it's,
Really?
And it's altering problematic issues with eyes. The engineer will tell you about that. So people are getting improved visions and other things because of it. Because visual problems are and decays in the blood vessel from free radicals.
Okay.
So the C60 buckyball, it hits that, it takes it off.
Makes sense.
Right. So it
Like if you have cataracts or something?
yes, that's right. That's correct.
What's the dosage? Just curious.
You can't OD on it, but it's expensive. So I would just do one drop.
One drop?
One thing, one thing in your squirt.
I didn't expect it to be black.
Yeah, it's carbon.
I mean,
Yeah.
of course.
I saw sunflower oil as
Yeah,
the
it's
first ingredient.
suspended in
I thought
sunflower
it
I'm
So
not
if you
thinking
go-
it
would be a
through.
lower concentration.
I'll say this for the record.
Would you like to do
There's
some?
other companies
Carbon
that
60?
are doing this now.
Sure.
And you have to really look out for the quality of it, how it's suspended and how it's engineered.
Okay.
And there's going to be data coming out about the amount of buckyballs suspended in there. Because when one drop fall, and you're going to get like 1 billion.
I don't really taste anything.
No, there's no.
So how do you feel, Sam? It's been about 10 seconds.
I feel. Zzz. Does that,
Feel zizzed.
Zzz.
I think that's all we need. We need a little zzzz. You know?
Yeah.
Is it supposed to make you feel zzz?
Well, the thing that women notice first with it is topical application for skin. Because remember, this is anti-aging stuff, right?
Oh,
And
so I can
skin.
just rub it on my skin?
Lots of people do that.
What?
Okay, now we're talking.
Okay,
And also,
hello. I'm
it's-
50.
It's only
too.
manufactured in like 4 countries, and the country that's using it first for cosmetics is South Korea.
Oh, really?
Always
of
South
course.
Korea.
God
Yeah.
bless them.
They're on everything.
Yeah, and they give pretty extensive. And there's tons of R&D on this. There'll be pages and pages on the internet for anybody to review and understand what it is.
So are you a distributor of this?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was asked to, and I'm just.
And where can people get it?
They can get it on c-60.com, and I believe the domain name is on here, but c-60.com, and there'll be interviews there and data and stuff is going to be. We've been waiting to deal with the powers that be, so to speak, because help anybody out, get in trouble. Tell the truth,
Of course.
get killed. It's all that,
Right.
which I deal with, and a lot of my friends deal with.
Right.
And we're not free anymore. Sorry to say. So anybody that's coming out with big information that's beneficial for everyone gets in a lot of trouble now. You get sued. You can be taken down, character assassinated by the corporate media. So I'm involved with the breaking apart of all that, and that's going to be happening outside of the United States, where smart cities will be set up.
What's a smart city?
And can I get there? What's the price tag in?
Yeah.
Well, I've been giving the locations of them because one of my colleagues was at the World Economic Forum, and they're all talking about cryptocurrencies, but people don't really understand what that means. Cryptocurrencies are great and everything, but they're in the beginning stages. But the servers which do the mining take massive amounts
Yep.
of energy.
Yep.
So for a successful cryptocurrency to even exist, it won't, because by the time the amount of mining it takes to do one coin will be more energy cost than the coin's worth, and it will destroy countries eventually. So they have a big problem with what they're going to do for cryptocurrencies to continue to exist, which means they're going to bring in the next stage of evolution, which is the cold fusion, which came out in 1989. They made a bunch of movies about it, been hiding about it for years. MIT knows about it. The American Indians were the first people to include it in public policy. There's multiple countries involved right now. Trump does know about it. There's meetings at the White House about it.
Trump.
If you listen to his initial speech when he came out, he's been debriefed on it. I know the biggest lobbyist in D.C. for the
It's
military.
really
on it.
big league. Cold fusion.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge.
This right
It's
here,
huge. Sorry.
there's enough energy in this to run your house for 10 years.
Bull.
No, go do your recon on that.
There's so much reading I'm going to have to do after this podcast. You know that? Like, my
It's like
brain's gonna
mind
explode.
blown.
I know. I'm like, gotta get all down on that.
Since you're talking about cryptocurrency, can you explain blockchain?
Blockchain is an accounting system which uses cryptography to. It's a ledger. It's an electronic ledger using cryptography. It came from the creation of Bitcoin. It's a inside piece of the technology which created a bunch of new noise, basically, worldwide. It's not the best. People know blockchain, but there's other tech that's come past it. One of them is called Tangle, I believe, which is a little more an enhanced version that uses less energy for mining. Because I had people at the World Economic Forum I met with at Government Labs in San Francisco that we were sitting down with. It was like, if there was a camera in there, jaws would have dropped about what we were discussing in there, because we know that as long as there's electricity and computers, currency can never be accounted for correctly, which means there's always going to be fraud, there's always going to be stealing, there's always going to be corruption, which is basically what's happened. Why the global economy is in total disaster, and why the United States is the biggest debtor nation on earth, and we have to kiss ass with China, who buys up all our debt. So all of these things behind the scenes that were done by the military-industrial
Doesn't
complex.
Russia buy up our debt too?
Everybody does.
Everyone buys our debt.
Yeah.
We're not free people anymore.
No.
No.
So our currency isn't real.
No, here's the thing, though. So blockchain technology isn't just for cryptocurrency. Are you guys aware of that?
Yeah,
It has
for a bunch
so
of
many
things.
different applications
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So, for example, the entertainment industry is going to see a big shift with that.
Yep.
Because
How? Explain.
So, again, not a pro. Gonna do my best here. Please jump in, because you guys probably know more.
Stealing, copyright issues. When somebody
Right.
downloads a song,
Right.
that's going to change the structure of it. So artists and creators and tech I was just introduced to less than a month ago. And the State Department people were there. The letter agencies were there. And that's the quantum computing, which is going to come in and change everything.
I'm so excited for quantum computing.
Yeah. So very weird situation we're in.
Okay, what's quantum computing? Okay, here,
Let her
disclaimer.
answer that.
Wait, let me just say.
She can answer
really
that. She
quick
knows.
disclaimer.
I know she knows.
I've only completed up to the 9th grade.
That's good, though.
Yeah, no, I know. Everything
You don't
I'm
have to unlearn all the bullshit and lies
That's
that
very
everybody's
true.
been given.
And
So don't think
I'm
less of yourself.
self-taught. No, I don't.
Yeah,
But
never.
I'm just explaining why I don't inherently know fundamental things that perhaps a lot of other people do, and I don't.
So, Sam, do you know what that means if you're self-taught? You're an autodidact.
Ooh, I am bullshit.
You are. You are. You and I. We're of the same class.
Oh
so-
my goodness.
Yeah.
I love it. Are
Yeah.
you an autodidact?
On some subjects. Yep.
Wow. Berkeley Pickell. I love that name.
It's too good of a name.
It's the best name ever. Thank your parents.
Yeah.
Is that your real name?
Yeah, my full name is Thomas Berkeley Pickell. My parents were kind of hesitant to give me an unusual first name, so they wanted me to have a normal name to fall back on. But then Rugrats came out when I was 6.
Right.
The main character is Thomas Pickell, so that fallback didn't really work anymore.
Does everybody just call you Pickle, though?
Some people
right.
insist on it. Yeah.
Great.
So I see you writing some notes over there, Berkeley Pickell. What's kind of jumping out at you? I'm curious.
Oh, I just had some questions, especially as we're coming up on like the time travel and the teleportation thing, like sort of how that would work if it's like astral projection sort of time travel, or if he like physically
went there.
Really?
Yeah, I know he physically went there. I went through that whole thing with him and kind of debated a little bit what
And we're talking
time
about
is.
Andrew Basiago.
Right. Yeah.
Practicing the name again.
I don't like to speak
Yeah,
on
but-
his behalf because he got
He'll
plenty to
do
say.
plenty yeah.
But I was more interested in what they did to him, what the effects were on his biology, his behavior, what he was supposed to do with his life, how it affects his relationships, why they didn't pay him, why they did that to him as a child, why they used a national security clause to hide and tell them, we're going to experiment with children and we're not going to tell anybody, we're not going to pay anybody, we're going to hide it from everybody because we are the people that are going to be going off-world in case there's a nuclear war. So he was doing it for you and her and everybody else.
We recently saw in the news that an astronaut, his DNA changed while he was in space.
Right.
I can only imagine what time travel would do if
No,
just going to
he'll
space.
tell you.
can alter
Aren't you
I
supposed to
know.
age? Doesn't it age you by going back and forth?
I would think that it does. I've never asked him about that, but I presume that his RNA and DNA would have been upgraded or degraded depending upon the amount of stress that he was exposed to as a child.
And not to cut you off, Berkeley Pickell, but the teleportation, did they break up the matter and then teleport you like in Star Trek?
And then rebuild it on the other side.
And then the other side, you kind of go "Grrr," and you're back together.
No, they do it through a gate. There was
Like a wormhole.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
You would go through a gate, and they fictionalized or explained how they did that in a series that was shot in Canada. I can't remember.
Was it that Stargate?
No, it was a different one, actually. It was shot in Canada, and they showed in the series an older man and a young child going through the gates, and they copied his story. He'll tell you about that. I forgot the title of the series, but it doesn't take apart there's not a cellular breakdown and then a re-putting together type of thing. No, you go through it, you're in an empty space for about 10 seconds, and then you go through the gate, and then you arrive at the location.
That sounds much more pleasant.
Right.
It does sound much more pleasant.
Being
It's not like the Philadelphia experience where you're
Sort of torn apart or molecularly.
yeah, and molded to steel and half dying. It wasn't like that. But it was
Can I
totally
ask, like, how? Again, did it come from the aliens? Like, who?
Tesla.
Like,
Tesla got it, and if
and now,
anybody,
is this the Tesla of the cars, or
they're the real guy,
okay?
Nikola Tesla, the scientist.
Okay, so the Tesla car does not have anything to do with the scientist.
No, he named it after him.
It's
because
an
he was
homage.
Yeah, you.
Okay, there you go.
Right.
What am I doing here?
She knows. I'm back.
I'm
up.
glad you're here.
So it was when Tesla died, the U.S. government came in and they stole everything from him, basically.
Get out of town.
Yeah, they stole everything from him. He had free energy back then. He kind of resolved most of the big global problems having to do with overpopulation and stuff. So all that was stolen, and then they took that tech, and DARPA and certain sections of the Pentagon started experimenting with time travel, and then his father was brought into it, and then he was brought into it as a child. And it's been going on for a long time. So
Are there current children that time travel now?
I would presume so, yeah. I would presume so. Because
And then
there's
why
like,
children? Isn't it because they're more malleable in essence? Like,
yeah, and the older you get, the more you walk backwards into your future. And if you're a younger person, you're not really concerned about what happened a year ago to you. And you're more
fearless,
open, and you don't know what to be afraid of and what not to be afraid of.
And I think
Because fears are learned. And when you're young, you have to learn all your fears.
Sure.
So you mentioned mind control earlier too. Like, is that hypnosis, subliminal signals, like mind control focus? Like
The mind control and the use of that started pre-World War II and went through the Tavistock Institute, was used during World War II, and then when OSS, which is the beginning of the CIA, was formed, it was implemented there, and then used since it's been going on since the 40s, and that was for primarily behavior modification in the form of assassination, which were the Born Supremacy movies were based on that. That was a small part.
Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, all of that stuff, and that was based on. Initially, child abuse was the form of the breakdown that we do to break down the personality, and use of boiling water and cold water to fracture the identity, and then extreme stress, and then you would have to do self-induced trauma, like killing somebody. Remember in the movie where when he becomes Jason Bourne, he has to shoot the guy? Well, they have to break down his central nervous system, put him in extreme trauma, sleep deprivation, and then he has to be convinced to take the action of killing the person, which bypasses his moral value system, and then the new identity is created, and then they add all the anchors and code words and everything into the person's personality, and then you have somebody assigned to you to enhance the new behaviors, and then you're put into the intelligence world and used for everything from being a courier to a killer to somebody that has intense recall, and usually a lot of it is associated with sexual abuse. So when the Weinstein thing happened, we knew that a long time ago, and that's been going on And he's low-end fruit. He's nobody in the bigger scope of things. So what's going on with that? That has to do with international banking. It has to do with blackmail. It has to do with governments that are currently in charge of everything. And it has to do with what's going on in Belgium and the complete exposure of child trafficking. By the way, so this is related, is the new law that passed that Trump did regarding trafficking.
Yes.
That's what it has to do with. Not the sex workers. They didn't write it right. He knows that all the banks and all the people in Washington, D.C. and most of the British government are all involved with pedophilia and Luciferianism and all that other crap. That's what it was for, is because those people are enemy number one. And if you notice people going to jail and all this stuff's happening, that we said all that. We said it in the book, and we came out and went into detail about who was running all those programs. But nobody will get anywhere near. I don't blame anybody because it's the ugliest thing on earth, but nobody wants to get involved with it. I got calls to do stuff because of the Weinstein thing, and I turned it all down because I don't want to have anything to do with it because I know who's doing what and how and the whole thing and what Hollywood's done and the military arm of Hollywood and why that's happening.
You know what? On that note, you need to come back, James Martinez.
Absolutely.
Hello, jamesmartinezmedia.net.
Right.
/com.
Got it. Okay, guys, our show's done. If you can
Hey.
imagine, that went pretty quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, everyone, plug your stuff. Kelly Caldwell.
Yeah, I have some new stuff coming out, but the best place to follow that is just on my social media, Kelly K. Caldwell, everywhere.
JamesMartinezmedia.net.
I'm BurkePick on all my social media, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and my website is burkepick.com.
And I'm The Single Life on Twitter, Sam's Pajama Party on Instagram, and follow the OMNI Pod and Facebook. It's Real Omni. Twitter, it's OMNI Magazine, and it's OMNIMagazine.com. On that note, thanks you guys for hanging out with us. It's the OMNI Pod brought to you by OMNI Magazine, the magazine of science and science fiction.